Save me. Good job. Cadet McGee. Go for it.
Flight. Hudson. Hut. Element 1, report.
All present and accounted for, sir.
Element 2, report.
All present and accounted for, sir.
Pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seats.
I don't see this is recording. Is yours recording back there?
Yes, sir.
I think we're having technical difficulties today.
Saying stop. It says stop and save.
No, I'm talking about Joseph. See if that one is recording,
Yeah, this
please.
one's recording.
Just hold on a second, Brianna.
Yeah, this one's recording.
Okay, so we have that one recording, and okay, it is recording. It's just I couldn't see the little white thing. All right. Yes, Cadet Brunel.
Would you like me just to keep this with me, or do you want to?
Why don't you stick it out over there? That's that was Mr. Lenz. Okay, welcome MS 100 to week 11. We're getting in now to World War II. Everybody should have their aviation book open. We're in Chapter 4, the Early Air Force. And let's see, what page is it actually? 120, 119, 119. So we have that.
22 is the actual stuff. Yeah, right.
119, Chapter 4. Okay? Everybody please have that. This week we're going to be trying to cover this entire chapter. It's lesson 1 and 2. It has great information about the early Air Force, how it started, and actually it covers a lot about the Army and the Navy, which we're going to be emphasizing in the second quarter is the Navy. Did anybody know how the Navy helped the Air Force become an Air Force?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we have somebody right there. Cadet Petrovich, yes.
They built aircraft carriers.
They built aircraft carriers. Did that help us become an Air Force? We have transport planes. We actually, the Air Force flies planes. The Navy puts them on a boat. But the reason is, guess what? We'll talk today about why they started building aircraft carriers. That's a good point. Yes, sir.
So, to answer what you were going to say, it was because of the sinking of the German battleship Aus Friesland.
So then when there was a sinking of a ship that the Navy thought we could not sink, the Navy really helped us. Okay? And actually the Navy jumped on board with the flying because of the building of the aircraft carriers. So we're going to cover all that here next day. We'll talk about some important people in the history of the Army Air Corps. Billy Mitchell, specifically we're going over today, Tuskegee Airmen. And you'll actually be evaluated on this chapter in about 2 weeks from today is actually the way it's going to go. Let me cover some administration purposes here. Okay, I'm going over the actual, let's see, I just got caught in my speakerphone here. Okay, clunk, clunk. Okay, what I'm going over here is the Moodle JTED website. I want to make sure everybody's up to speed on it the second quarter. I also wanted to make sure everybody know that the actual due dates for all the assignments are going to be hard and fast this semester, this quarter, because everybody pretty much knows what's going on as far as inputs. They're basically due 1 week after the end of the week. So, for instance, we are now finishing up week 10 here on our website, and I'll blow that up. Can I blow that up? Maybe a little bit. And you'll see that the week ends on a Monday night because I finished all my lecturing and we finished our leadership lab. Everything is due 1 week past that. So, for instance, this first assignment is due the 30th of October, which is 1 week past the 10th, the Tuesday. And it's around 11 o'clock at night is when the computer will not let you submit anything else. So that's how we're going to work it this week. This time you can go ahead. You actually have 2 weeks to do the assignments. You can see I finished the assignments from last week. This week is week 11. And as my teacher mode here on the computer works out, you can see that down here I've already got week 11 signed for you and framed. And as soon as we finish all this lecturing and talking and videotaping, I'll put it down here on the videotape. I already got the assignment set in. But see, it's due the 6th of November, which is basically 1 week after this week is over with, the 30th of October. So I don't want to be any confusion on that. Your assessment for this week's classes that covers World War II and its significance will be on Leadership Lab 13, which is the 5th of November. And here in class, we'll be doing it at the same time, probably on that Wednesday prior or that Monday, depending on how the lectures go and how far we get along. But this is going to be the bulk of our aerospace science studies this quarter is World War II and the Navy's influence and the Air Forces and the Armies and how we developed into an Air Force afterwards. Okay, any questions for anybody on that? This is our website. I encourage each one of you guys, especially the remote cadets, to come into the home and click on the announcements, and you'll see our announcements that we go through every day here at JROTC. This is actually us doing the, what was this, guys? 9/11. Is this 9/11 or yeah? We haven't been to Veterans Day yet. This is our 9/11 ceremony that our cadets put on. And how many cadets do we have out there? Probably 60, 80, 100? I don't know. Quite a few cadets got out there before school, and we actually had a 9/11 ceremony. And you can see our more senior cadets doing the color guard. Orienteering is coming on heavy and strong now after our meet in September. The next one is the 3rd of October. It is a scavenger hunt. And I believe I can give a shout out to Rimrock is going to be coming to our orienteering meet. We're going to meet you guys out at the McDonald's on the 3rd of November and take you guys down. Rimrock had an orientation team that did real well on orienteering. So any of you guys else interested in doing that will be getting that together this Wednesday. Color guard. We have about 48 color guards last year, and we actually probably have a little more this year, but basically we're coming up to color guard season with the Veterans Day coming up, and we got parades, and we have Christmas, and it's a busy, busy time. So we need your help. Please do that. It counts on your community service, and also gives you a little more opportunity to involve after the school with our cadets. Uniform for the 9th of October is as follows. The 4th year or above, you can wear flight suits. Your morale suits, the E7s are above, BDUs, E6 is unit T-shirts, first year is unit T-shirt, professional wear. We do have a field trip this Friday. We're going to take our history students, U.S. AZ history, as well as our world history students. They're going to, where are they going? Meteor Crater. Is that right? Anybody here going in that class, on that trip? Yeah, we're going to Meteor Crater for the U.S. AZ history and the world history class. I'm not doing that, so let's see. This class will be doing a PE on Friday. We'll be shooting archery. Yes, sir.
What if we haven't been issued our flight suits yet?
It's your initiative. You don't have to have it if you don't want it. You've been there
I didn't hear anything about it was open to get them or not.
Since the first day of school. Got to take your initiative and go get it. Yep, they're right there.
Just one question. So is it the same thing as getting like all your blue stuff? Just go in and say, hey, do you have my size? Can I get it? And they say, yeah, absolutely. Is that how it is?
Yes.
All right, just one.
Yes. Flight suits are for 4th year students. And again, it can be at no cost to the Air Force. So what we do is we give it to you and work with you because we've gotten them for free from generally Embry-Riddle throw-offs or mine or other pilots. But it's a fun thing to wear them for morale and wear about once every month or two. It's a lot of fun. Okay, community service. We actually went over 3,000 hours of community service last quarter, which is fantastic for all you guys. We gave out, didn't we give out the community service ribbons here in this class?
No, sir. We didn't like any.
We didn't give out the community service ribbons. Cadet McGee. tomorrow or so, go find us the community service ribbons for our class, and we'll give them out. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And did we promote people in this class? Not good. Okay. Go tell Colonel Kemper you want the promotion list for this class. Okay. All right. And we'll do that either tomorrow or Friday. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. It'd be good. Okay. Anyway, this is a community service option for this weekend. Is that this weekend? No, it's the 9th and 10th. A couple weekends from now. All right. Let's see. We had some.
Wait, I didn't.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
That was community service?
Yeah, I just want to read it really quick.
Sorry. You can read it. I always try to go over the Twitter feeds every week. And let's see. Yes, congratulations, Cadet Jared Johnson and Grant Temple for qualifying for state championship, state for varsity swimming. That was good. Cadet Veronica Campus got the Junior RTC Superintendent Awards. That's good. And we have Ames testing tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday for all our juniors and seniors that need to do that. All right, good on that. All righty. Yes, regular schedule's made. Exactly. All right, so we've covered this. That's good. I can log out of here. And okay, so let's start here with our book in the early Air Force. I got a question for you on page 119 there. What's the name of that big plane you see there? Strato Fur Fortress, is that it? That looks like quite a modern plane, doesn't it? No. I can't see. You need to set up. What is the what are some different things about that plane versus some of the modern plane, guys?
Modern planes don't have the propellers, like the modern planes have propellers on the wings.
Okay, so that's a twin-engine propeller plane. It's a lot like the Embry-Riddle twin-engine planes you see flying around here at Prescott when they're training you. What about on top of the nose there? That bump there on the top of the nose. What is that? This right here. What's that top of that bump right there, and then maybe that little thing right there?
Radar, sir.
Radar. Close. Keep going.
Television.
Television. Oh yeah, they were watching black and white television back then. What was it?
Everybody loves Lucy. Wrong one. Sorry, I love Lucy.
Look at these down here on the bottom. See here? What are those?
That made sure they weren't abducted by aliens.
To make sure that we were being watched.
Okay, those are antennas.
I said for radar, sir, was I somewhat close?
Okay, no, not at all. They did not have radar invented then.
You said close, I was like, oh, right.
No. These are antennas, guys. The antennas actually were for navigation. And in those times, actually somebody said TV, but how about radio? On the ground, there were actually radio stations that sent out radio waves like a radio station, and the navigator up here in the front, which, oh, by the way, you absolutely need a navigator for every plane, because flying the plane was such a problem that you positively couldn't fly and navigate at the same time. And what they did was they ended up having navigators that would put on their headsets and listen to the radio. And it would actually be a beam. And when it was real strong, guess what? You're pointing right at it. But if you angle over to the side and you're pointing this way, it get weaker. And honestly, that was how they navigated. Automatic Direction Finder, ADFs, was listening to the radios from airport to airport to airport. There was no GPS. There was no moving maps. They did have a map, like a paper map, okay? But if you didn't know where you are, you couldn't find it. So those planes were a lot different, honestly, a lot different in those days. What about those wheels? Do you think those retract?
No, sir.
I think these do. See how they got a little hole there? But it's kind of unusual to have retractable wheels. That was a big innovation. What's the problem with retractable wheels?
They create drag.
Retractable wheels go back up, but what's the problem with retracting?
Mechanical.
Sometimes they don't retract, or sometimes they do, or sometimes they don't come down. So you would have...
All right, we're on our downward descent. The wheels aren't coming out. We have a problem.
In the ground and we're going to
Start throwing parachutes out the back. Attaching to the plane.
So what do we do if you're a pilot there, Cadet Kramer, and you're coming down the land in this funky looking plane right here? The one wheel went down and one didn't. What do you do?
Try to land as even as possible.
But look, believe it or not, that's probably about 5 feet. So you're going to have 5 foot high on one side, 5 foot low, and even, then what's going to happen? You're going to drag a wing or two, or your numps, you're going to be...
I would volunteer to go
what do you do if you put down the wheels and they don't go down? What do you do? Cadet Bean.
Don't you pull up, circle back, and try to pull it down manually?
Well, that is a great, great idea. Well, you must have taken some of my advanced courses.
I volunteer and I'll do it.
So what you need to do is actually you try to put the wheels back up and recycle them. And yes, on do these planes carry a lot of fuel or a little fuel?
A lot.
Ton. They can fly for hours and hours and hours. Okay? And so yes, there are no need to rush. So you recycle them back up. And actually, this is on takeoff. And you can kind of see how these are starting to retract. So I bet you these wheels, see angled, they should be like this. So I bet these are on takeoff. And so you would have a lot of wheel problems back then. And then you try to cycle them, and then there always were a way to manually put them down, like literally wind a hand crank, and you would crank them down.
Like at the gym, sir, when you have the basketball hoop and you crank it up and you crank it down.
Yeah, sure. Wheels are like basketball hoops. Okay. Cadet Johnson, please read the bottom of page 120 about the early Air Force and the strategic bombing survey, please.
That's 119.
Bottom page of 119.
Allied air forces were decisive in the war in the Western Europe. In the air, its victories was complete. At sea,
Its contribution.
its contribution combined with naval power brought the end to the enemy's greatest naval threat, the U-boat. On land, it helped to turn the tide overwhelming in the favor of Allied group forces. Overwhelmingly.
Okay, the United States Strategic Bombing Survey was basically the after-action report. How do you say that? The how did we do version of World War II. They went through all the missions, all the planes that were shot down, all the POWs, all the targets, and they went through a very, very detailed survey of how we did. And this was, if it was in 1945, was it the Army or the Air Force that conducted this? Army. Why?
Because we didn't have an Air Force.
When did the Air Force start?
1947.
1947, exactly. So this was the Army Air Corps assessing their own version. And again, their theory, which I agree with, was that Allied air power was decisive in the war. Decisive in the war of Western Europe. Western Europe being, France, Germany, not Eastern Europe, not Russia. So that is something to consider. All right. So then on for the overview, we're going to be covering the Army Air Corps and then the air power in World War II. We're going to talk about some predecessors to the Air Force, how the Army Air Corps developed, all the different names that came through, and then our path to independence on this. Here's a question for some of my sharp kids that I know read this ahead of time. The Army, Navy, and Congress do you think the Navy was very excited about creating another branch of service? Do you think the Army said, yeah, we'll give a quarter of our people away? No, they were very reluctant to create an equal branch of the military dedicated to air power, because the Army was the only place that had planes at the time, and the Navy, once they saw some of our capabilities, said, hey, we're going to build aircraft carriers. Why did Brigadier General Billy Mitchell want to do so, meaning build a equal branch. Why did he want to build an equal branch? And how did he draw attention to the air power's potential? Okay, Cadet Conrad Carroll. How did he do that?
The second one, there was a German, not a German U-boat, but a German ship that nobody could sink, that everyone had problems attacking. So he assigned 2 first lieutenants to attack the ship, and they took it down.
Great.
And he got the public all wrapped up in it, and the public realized, oh wow.
And so Brigadier General Mitchell was part of the Air Force at the time, right?
Well, he was part of the Army Air Force.
There you go. That's exactly right. This is. In what years was this happening? Was this like after World War II?
During World War II.
Read your book, page 120.
21.
Yes, sir.
Just after World War I.
Just after World War I. So he was an Army Air Corps. He was an Army pilot. Wasn't Army Air Corps at the time, and he started to realize, my goodness, these Navy boats that have so much ships that have so much power, they can't shoot down a plane because they weren't designed to shoot down a plane. And so he actually used the Navy to bring attention to the potential of it.
Yeah, I strike that. He hired 2 first lieutenants to fly across the United States.
Exactly.
Show off the Air Force, not to attack them.
That's good. That's good. You can see that the actual, here's a good test question. God, can I do that? What was the actual first part of the Army to be called with aerospace vehicles? What part of the Army on page 122, what was the first part of the Army?
Aeronautical Division?
Signal Corps.
The Signal Corps. Good job. Good job. Gee, why would it be the Signal Corps? He gets A+ on that. Why would it be the Signal Corps, guys? What are they doing? What are they signaling? Planes? They didn't have planes. They have the Wright brothers at that time. What's the Signal Corps? Who's taking my USAC history class?
I am, but we haven't talked about it.
Something with balloons.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. High five, Cadet Brute. Yes, balloons. So think about this before air power, and when actually the balloon was the highest, neatest, most high-tech invention you could ever have was a balloon.
I have a hard time thinking a balloon is high-tech.
It is high-tech, man. And I tell you what, I'll even let me use my cadets as part of the demonstration here. When you have a balloon and you do not know what is over the horizon, you actually have to do that. Okay? So here we go. Cadet Bean, you're sitting up quite proper. These are the bad guys. Okay? Cadet McGee, you're the good guy. You're looking over this mountain. You can't see the bad guys. So what does a balloon do?
Goes over the mountains or flows.
It goes up over the hill and can look down just like you're standing over there. And you can actually see it. But what did they do when they got in the balloon? Did they pick up their cell phone and call down there and go, hey, aim to the left?
They had to go back down and tell them.
They had to go up,
signals.
take a few hours, look over here, go back down. This is Civil War. Civil
They didn't
War.
have cameras
Okay?
back then.
Didn't have cameras, no cell phone, no internet.
Like a telegraph connector.
A telegraph connector would be cool, then you have to have electricity up in the sky. So how else could you do that? How else can you tell them?
Really
Use
big
like
attention
colored
to it.
flags and
Color or signal corps, right? So you actually have colored flags. Hey, I'm the blue guy. That means move left. Or red. So you actually developed a signaling system with flags. Not unlike the Navy. And when your ships, when they have actual Navy colors, and you run up the Navy colors, you say, we are friendly or we're pirates. All those flags, that's exactly where they got that from, the maritime world. And so the Signal Corps were the original balloonists, and they would signal. And then, of course, we ended up having airplanes in World War I, Army, and they came around, and they were still part of the Signal Corps because the balloons were. So it's kind of weird to think that all of our high-tech technology is part of the original Signal Corps that got everything going in the World War I arena. The Army Air Service, if you look again on the bottom of page 121, you can see, 122, I'm sorry, you can see the progression there. How did I do that? Is that visible there on the big screen? All right. So you can see the Signal Corps lasted about 1914, and then you had the Army Signal, the Aviation Sectional Signal Corps was during World War I. And then after World War I, everybody was real happy, and all of a sudden they started talking about military aeronautics, Army Air Service. The Army Air Service is technically what Billy Mitchell was in when he had his 1921 bombing that you guys have already alluded to. And then, of course, the Army Air Corps that we always talk about from 1926 until we became a separate Air Force. My dad was in the Army Air Corps in World War II, and his actual job in World War II, did I tell you that? Load bombs on on bombers by stopping the truck backwards and slinging the bombs underneath the bombers and lifting them up. And they did not, fortunately for me, they did not go off. I would not be here if my dad was blown up by a bomb. But but anyway, the Army Air Corps, so the Air Force was not in World War II. So sometimes you'll hear people talking big. No, Air Force didn't have anything to do with World War II. Because of World War II, we actually probably became an Air Force. And also because of pioneers like Billy Mitchell. If you look on page 123, it talks about enlisted men after the Great World War I. You ever think about what happens after you have a big war? They probably don't have need for you. Cadet Kramer, why don't you read the right-hand side there, page 123, talk about enlisted men after the Great War.
At the end of World War I, the Army Air Service had 195,000 enlisted men. Of these, 74,000 were overseas. What would these men do once the fighting stopped? The Army worked with the government to find jobs for some. In other cases, commanders wrote letters of recommendation for their enlistees. For instance, they would do this for their mechanics. They kept other airmen in the service even after discharge until they could find work.
So here's another thing that nowadays, because education is emphasized so much, you realize that most of the aviators back then were enlisted. They did not have college degrees because no one had college degrees. And so basically they were sharp people, 18-year-olds, just like some of you guys, that chose to get in the Army Air Corps and had a desire to fly. And they went out and flew. So most of the World War I aviators were all enlisted. They were just flying, and they could be learned and taught just like anybody else. Back then, very few people went to college. Okay, after the World War I, you can actually see that we were having problems with money, and just like any other war, they try to save it. So you would end up trying to cut back on the Army Air Corps. Look, they said they got rid of 195,000 men. That's kind of crazy. And so anyway, in that, the Army Air Service wanted to get equal footing with the Army and the Navy. I tell you what, in today's world, they've even been talk about having another armed force of the Air Force, of the military in America. Which one would that be? Well, the Marines actually were approved, yes. So we have now Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine. Those are different parts of America's armed forces. But what other, if we were inventing flying, then we need to have an Air Force. What other part of the defense of America are we sort of inventing now? Space. Cyber. In my lifetime, at one time, I thought there was going to be a Space Force. And I thought it was going to be defined as anything above 50,000 feet. I don't know. Instead of the Air Force, you could fly fighters up to 50,000 feet. Then above 50,000 feet, I thought it would be a Space Force. Of course, that got in a lot of controversy. And guess what? The Army didn't want to give up.
Air Force, let alone make a Space Force.
Well, I'm just saying, the Army didn't want to give up their missiles and went above 50,000 feet. The Navy didn't want to give up their satellites. The Air Force didn't want to give up their satellites. So there has not been a Space Force made. But somebody said Cyber Force. I think in our lifetime there will be a Cyber Force. Meaning online, just like we're doing right now. Everything online. There will be a cyber war by a cyber force. And again, there'll be a bunch of smart techies, I guess. Yes, sir.
How would a cyber war go? Like, what would be the...
How would it go? Probably pretty bad for the person who receives it first. What do you mean, how would it go?
Like, how would they...
Two guys sitting in a computer warring with each other. That's it.
Well, how would they, like, fight? Like, they would hack each other?
Pretty much.
I tell you what, we have time here today. I'll go with this. And
We had a. Do you remember last year when we had that guy come and talk to us?
Which one?
We had him come and talk to us about joining, like. He spoke to me. He spoke to us about like binary and joining like this kid. No, I know.
Oh, you mean cyber?
Yes, it was cyber.
Cyber
like
war.
cyber
Yeah, well,
warfare
that's
thing.
part of the ROTC that you can do. We don't do that here because we're so busy with all this stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
but
sir.
there is a war. All right, here's the thing you need to realize. Again, later on this year, when you want to get me off subject, ask me about this. Because I used to work in the Pentagon. I was in charge of the GPS satellites of America. And the GPS satellites have a lot of frailties, have a lot of problems that the civilians don't understand. But in a cyber war, if you were to hack into our electrical system of America, and everything goes blink and turns off, how's that going to happen? How's that going to be good?
We're screwed. We wouldn't be able to function.
It means
Yes. I mean, I'm telling you, you're not going to have any. You're going to have to be cooking in your fireplace, literally, right? Or living in your RV. I like RVs anyway. I don't like RVs. But when you're talking about a cyber war, that would be a bad situation for America's lights to go blink in the night and they don't turn on in the morning.
They just don't.
And so what would happen? Give me some impacts of that type. Cadet Kramer.
There'd be a lot more increase in wood products.
Increase in wood products, meaning you're cutting down the tree in your front yard to stay warm. Hopefully that happens in the summer. Yes, sir.
All the airplanes would probably be grounded.
The Air Force would be grounded, right? You couldn't take off. No navigation.
Oh wait, are we talking long term or short term?
You're asking how a cyber war. You're asking how a cyber war takes place.
Shut off our lights?
Yes.
they just do that with
All the trees would go.
EMP.
Well, cyber is not EMP. Cyber is hacking, like I said, through the internet and turning off the controls to the electrical system that distributes electricity around America.
Is that possible?
Yes.
People
Yeah,
can
you gotta be kidding me. If it's built by man, it's a computer. Guess what? It's hackable by man and destroyable, right? Yes.
Can I make an example that I heard from a friend, sir? If someone hacked into another person's site, they could change everything they wanted about the site. Say it was a site about hey, I'm promoting this. They could flip that site upside down, turn it around, and make it completely different. So if someone hacked into America's lights, they could shut our lights down permanently. They could not allow us to use water by turning off all the water at the power plants, the electrical plants, the gas, everything.
So that would be the worst case. But you asked about what about a cyber war? That'd be the worst case. What's another case? But do you think that name a bad guy? What's a bad country? What's a bad country?
Russia.
Afghanistan.
Pick a country. I don't care. I'm not going to argue which is what. But let's say Canada.
Who said Canada?
That would actually be a good question. Which country in the world would want to do that to America?
Mexico.
Okay, the ones who gain the most, but what country in the world does not have money here in America?
Mexico.
Do you know where a majority of the imports of Mexico come from? Where is the money of the world stored? In the stock exchange in America. I mean, we're the most stable currency in the world. So let's pick a bad guy, China. China wants to come over here and invade America. They shut us down. Guess who goes bankrupt? China. Because they have invested in America. And so think about Switzerland. Okay, Switzerland. They're all little dinky, little small, but maybe they want to rule the world again. Their currency is dollars, American dollars. If American dollars go down, everyone loses. So I don't think that version of the cyber war will happen, because unless it's a rogue terrorist group
It's
that
like
has
some
that
random
ability.
country rises up, hey, we're gonna take you out.
Like
you don't have any of our money. What?
Also in Antarctica, there's like definition on
Antarctica?
Okay, what's another? All right, hold it, quiet. What's another version of the cyber war? What can we do? Yes, sir.
Mass panic because with the no lights or electricity.
No, not just a complete wipeout of electricity would be the worst case. What's another version of a cyber war that wouldn't be that bad? Yes, sir.
The internet loss.
Okay, so parts of the internet is down.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe the East Coast is shut down, the West Coast is still workable. And then, oh, by the way the internet is, managed, everything is routed around, and not everybody is efficiently.
And the satellites. I just thought of that one.
Okay.
Satellites.
I'm telling you, again, ask me about the GPS satellites sometime. I'll be glad to tell you. But, yeah, you take out 2 or 3 of those GPS satellites and our accuracy's down. Oh, by the way, the timing down. We talked about that in one of my other classes. The electricity system would probably fail. Yes?
If we went into a cyber war, if we had enough sufficient technology, we could hack into our enemy's military database and learn.
Well, we hope that secret guys on our side are doing this. You don't hear much about that, right? You don't see you don't see a series on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock that goes, Cyber Warriors of America fighting. Why do you think we don't see that? Because you know what? In 20 or 40 years we may see 20, when I was a kid, you think we'd have a TV show about Navy SEALs? No, it was too secret. You didn't go there and advertise what we're doing. So right now, I bet you we have good guys that are doing good things. Smart people
Like the
in the
highest
cyber
levels
world.
of intelligence.
Well, I'm just saying that it's not advertised. There are probably skirmishes going on right now in the cyber war that we don't know about. Okay, let me show you here a clip that I have that talks about Mr. Billy Mitchell. Who is he? Real quick, we got about 10 minutes here. Mr. Billy Mitchell. Who is Mr. Billy Mitchell, someone? Yes, sir. Quiet, please. We're hearing everything you're saying.
He helped greatly with the Army Air Corps, like the making of it, I guess.
So he was in the Army Air Service, and he wanted the independent Air Force. And you can see he was a hero. He was a general. Okay? But he saw the future, as very few people did, and no one in the Army, and guess what? The Army's still riding horses, guys. Okay? I mean, this is the 1920s. Okay? You got your cavalry, and you're still riding horses. The generals, they don't even, automobiles sort of just invented. I mean, planes are still very dangerous. And this guy visioned a full Air Force, 25 years before it happened. It'd be like in the 70s, 1970s, say, hey, let's have a cyber force. What's the internet? You got to be kidding me. Why? Well, this guy had that much vision to do this. And, of course, the Department of War, the Army, completely disagreed with him and believed that the defense of America would be based on what?
The Army.
The Army and the Navy. And, of course, the battle fleet does not mean aircraft carriers. It means big ships with big guns that would sit off the coast and bomb you, right? Or not, I guess that's not the term bomb. What do? They shoot shell you. Yes, the shells are, and some of the shells you realize are big as VW bugs. I laugh about that. 3,000-pound shells out of big guns that shoot that, just like your little 9mm that we have in your hand. But imagine a gun big enough to shoot a 3,000-pound projectile. That's pretty cool. So guess what? If you're the Navy, you would say, yes, that would be fabulous, piece of cake. But this guy knew that the ships could have a problem. So his biggest, splashiest campaign maneuver was the sinking of the, I can't even pronounce that, Ostfriesland?
Ostfriesland.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
German. I think Ost is west, right? The West Freeland, right? We're hearing everything you're saying. And so there's one idea. I'm so happy I was able to get onto the internet, and we're actually going to see a bombardment demonstration of this. If this will go here. 1921, guys. Sophisticated looking plane. Sophisticated looking bomb. Off the Virginia coast. These battleships could not shoot down planes. The most expensive thing ever built. Can you imagine sinking a battleship with that little plane? £1,000 bomb. Do you think that made the Navy happy? And actually, it was one bomb. They said in the book that many planes missed the target. One guy hit it. Langley Air Force Base is still there in Norfolk, Virginia. I bet you they were having a party that night. Alrighty, so that showed you the targets and the actual example. That was pretty neat. We could actually see real footage from 1921. How come somebody wasn't talking that whole time?
Because they weren't able to figure out how.
They didn't have the talkies back then. Yes, they didn't have the ability to do that. Billy Mitchell saw the future, and he went out and proved to the Navy and the Army that if the Navy boat was the most fortified boat at the time, where would you fortify the boat? The ship.
On top.
Why would you do it on top? Nothing's going to drop on top.
Like the sides.
The sides, yeah. So that was the joke, is that they fortified on the sides because, both ships pull up against each other and shoot each other, boom, 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 on the sides. Nobody's ever thought of the concept of dropping something on top. So one 2,000-pound bomb struck that humongous, heavily fortified ship, and it pretty much changed the world. I mean, it made us be a separate military 25 years after that. Yes, sir.
Some people claim this is kind of off topic, but
Don't get off topic. I got 1 minute. Don't get off topic. Sorry. All right, we will stop here, guys. You can leave your books there. We will continue with Mr. Mitchell and Tuskegee Airmen. You can read this at home. Let's go ahead and dismiss the class before the bell rings, please.
We should watch that they're coming here. That'd be awesome.
Flight Hudson Hut. Dismissed.
Go!